Welcome, howdy, reprobates and repro-curious cowpokes. I am your dashing host, Corneliusvango, and today I'm going to be talking about white people. And you may notice that I am of a non-melanated persuasion myself, so I don't need to hold back. I am of the whites, and I don't particularly care for whiteness. And as a disclaimer, I do believe in the value of like cultural and ethnic pride, and there is a very important distinction that a lot of white folks get confused about, and that's why they get really, really big mad and get their fucking little panties up in the water. Oh shit, I said fuck in the first less than a minute and a half. Okay, awesome, great. Well, you know what? YouTube hates me. Say what you will about censorship or whatever, but yeah, I suffer from censorship. I struggle to censor myself. I'm an autistic crust punk, so not only do I have like no filter for what I'm saying, but I'm also foul as hell, and that's just something that people who have been on my channel for a while have learned to accept. And yep, or they don't care, and that's great, because you know I guess the important thing is that like you are able to get a message from communication, and when you get offended, that makes you unable to be receptive to information and communication. And I'm not talking about the triggered left. I'm talking about white people and conservatives, specifically white conservatives, especially people in like the middle and upper class. Oh, here, let me get this light so my face looks a little bit better. But before I really dig into it, and if you pass the vibe check, great, welcome. And there's going to be more vibe checks, though. They're going to keep dialing up, okay? So, but my intentions are good. I'm not here to like piss in anybody's Cheerios, okay? I am a soothsayer, which back in medieval times and before then was a valued member of society, but our colonial Eurocentric society does not allow for individualism in that capacity. I'm not going to go on that tangent. I could do a whole hour about the American concept of rugged individualism. We're not going to do that. It is actually tied, like a lot of that's tied into why American whiteness became a thing, because that is a very unique experience that I'd like to talk about. I have been watching some and I do have internet today. I've been watching some I'll be honest, I watched maybe 10 minutes here and there of different people talking about, I didn't really find anything super compelling. What I wanted to find was a documentary on the actual concept of whiteness, when it first showed up in history and why, but there's not really anything about like that online, so I'm just going to summarize what I've got going on in my head in as palatable of a way as I can muster for you. But before we get into it, I'm going to just say hello to folks in chat. Spicoli, what's up? Timothy Cavalieri, Tara Weidman, Billy Johns, love the shirt. Thank you. Yeah, this is my favorite patch. My friend made it. She did a, what's the word for it? My brain's made out of fucking peanut butter and jelly today. Anyway, she made the art, but I sewed over it with some colored floss there, and it says Nomadic Anti-Civ. Sick, with the squatter's rights symbol and a you know. And then I sewed this one on. Kill the black snake. If you know, you know. And this was Satan's old hoodie that she ripped up, so I just made it into a backpack. A little early for spooky season. Never too early for spooky season. See, I got like fucking LA, got West Coast spooky vibes here. Fuck yeah. Yeah. And Satan's got a new toy because of kind folks who got down with the kickdown in the last couple days. I was able to get her some nice things. Look at this. It's so cute. It's got a little corn cob. Look at that. She loves it too. She hasn't been this excited about a new toy in a while. And she's like low-key pretty spoiled. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, and if anybody here in chat is new today, I'm trans, masculine, non-binary. My pronouns are they, them. He, him is okay if you really struggle with they, them. Like, when I'm out, you know, working or something, and there's not time for the whole conversation, I'll just, you know, like, let people call me whatever they think that I am, and it works fine. But, you know, so sometimes we don't have time, and you just move past it because you have, like, 100 more loads to do, or whatever the fuck you're doing, or etc. But yeah, if you want to come in here correct, then he or they, preferably they. I'm not a he, him proper. It's just like, yeah, whatever. All right. Yeah, it's kind of a weird time to be streaming about this today, but it was just something on my mind. I had seen a couple of things in the news pop up because there's here in the US and a lot in the UK recently too, and I think those are the biggest countries where there's like a lot of issues with white pride happening right now. So it just kind of got my gears turning. Vicky says, new to YouTube, found your channel and I'm hooked. That's awesome. Thanks for saying that. That's great. Hi, bub. I'm going to give Satan a treat. Oh, yeah, and I am also, I'm an amputee, and I'm here in LA working on getting a new prosthetic leg made, and in the meantime, the one that I have been wearing and, like, you know, using for the last couple years is really, really painful. So I have my leg off right now, and I've got it kind of elevated on my little scooter thing. So I'm going to get up and grab Satan a treat, and then y'all can see my hoochie daddy shorts and my naked nub. So if you're into that, go on and get down with the kickdown. There's links in the description. PayPal, Venmo, Cashapp. I am fucking broke. I have less than like maybe $50 at this point. And I don't know. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, if you want to fucking throw down, that's super helpful. Yeah, I had to stop myself there. I wasn't about to go on a fucking rant about being broke this early in a stream. It's just it's not proper, okay? There you go. Get down with the kickdown, huh? There you go. There's the money shot. Here, Satan. I'm gonna give her a nice bully stick too. These are also compliments of folks that kicked down last couple days. Ooh, we got a nice big one. Here, bub. Satan says thank you. Yeah, we got the good stinky ones. She likes the stinky ones. All right. There we go. Also, I think since I do have the internet, I might like let's take a look here. See what they're saying.
Are there people calling this town? I don't really see people really kind of red.
All right. I'm just jogging my
told you about his hometown.
memory of this. Actually, that's really distracting. I don't know how YouTubers do that. I would have to do like a full react video. I'm not gonna do a react video. A couple of things that stood out in this for me, just in like going over this. white people.
What does white privilege mean to you? You kind of get this feeling as you grow up that things belong to you.
I'm gonna put on this mic here.
Good ones. I can walk to a convenience store and back without getting hassled by the police.
I don't have to do it. I just send this page. I need black and respect to do it. That's my privilege as a white person. But it's true. If I was white, I don't think I would have to wake up knowing that there's a certain stereotype put on me. Being Asian, I'm smart, I'm good at math, I eat a dog.
So in this part, what stood out to me when I was watching it like a few minutes before stream was when the topic of whiteness was brought up to these people from like small, predominantly white towns. They kind of got like mad, like they feel like they're under attack, right? And then like their follow-up is kind of, well, white's just the default, you know, it's like the standard, which it's not. And I think hold on, I'm so fidgety right now. I did say that I'm, hold on. There we go. I have a special mind and spicy neurology, so I'm just gonna roll cigarettes here. Not only is whiteness not like a standard of any kind, it actually doesn't mean what people think that it means, right? The concept of whiteness, I believe, came about in the early colonial days of the British Empire, when the English were going and colonizing places around, like, you know, and colonialism is a whole is tied in with the concept of whiteness. Whiteness is a product of colonialism, but they were going around and colonizing other places like Ireland, and the pre-European people there were the Celts, and as they were assimilated into English culture and they lost their Celtic culture and traditions, they became white, and that whiteness was originally used to describe like Anglo-Saxons, and I don't know exactly the history of that, but that's kind of where it started, to differentiate between Anglo-Saxons and the Celts, which were like, you know, Proto-European, like before Europe was a thing. That was like white indigenous people, white, and I'm gonna say quote because they weren't white. That was the whole thing about it. So the moment that you start embracing whiteness within a colonial society, that's when you sever ties from your actual culture and ethnicity. And that's why I think it's really important that people understand that, because if your response to like CRT, critical race theory, or like talking about racial issues is to feel threatened because you are proud of being white, they've already won. Like, they've taken all of your actual culture away from you. Has anybody okay, I don't want to be like tokenizing any people of color in the chat, but like if there's folks in chat that are like grew up ethnically, like with culture, like what did you think the first time that you tried like white people food, like actual in like a white person's house, if you have. Like, and I'm not talking about if you went to like a Polish person's house and they made like Polish food, or you know, you went to an Irish person's house and they made fucking Irish cuisine, or like French cuisine or whatever. Like, I'm talking about like white people food, cultureless, tasteless. It's like, this may be a little crass, I don't know, and I've already been canceled like a million times about, like, I actually no, that I've had people talk mad shit on me a lot, and I don't care. But if I do say anything out of line, please call me out. Thank you. It's not your job, but I'd appreciate it. There was this fella back when segregation, he was one of the, I can't remember his name, but when he was first eating in a restaurant that was previously whites only, his first thought was like, damn, I put my life on the line for this. This is like, he had some second thoughts about being able to access like the whole of society as white people do, because the food is terrible. And it's like, if that ain't a tell, I don't know what is. Like, white people don't have culture. There's no culture to it. It's an abstract concept that was created to divide the working class and to make poor white people blame their problems on people who are struggling more than them. And that's garbage. It's a ploy. The ruling class has you by the balls, man. Like, if you're like, oh, but my whiteness, oh, white people just don't have the same privilege in society anymore than they used to. Like, yes, and good. There's, this guy was reading off some stats. I'm gonna try and find it. Let's see. When he's sitting down talking to these folks here.
What? Here in this place?
I don't know if you guys can hear it, but
I think some of it, like walking in to the store, like they have these small conveniences. Walking into the store for the first time, and you're like, "Wait, I'm the only white person in here." I never had to, like, I've never felt that.
I've never felt like I was treated badly because of that.
Yeah, more of just
Curiosity.
Curiosity.
What does it mean to be white in an Indian?
Oh.
We've
This
never
is a
had to
different conversation.
internalize what white people have done in America.
Or earlier in it.
When I was
That's
younger,
like its
like,
whole. Actually, yeah, that's like its whole thing. So there's this guy that's a teacher on the Oglala Sioux reservation, right? And like he gets asked, like, how does it feel being the only white person on the reservation and you're their teacher? Like, holy shit, if that's not a hangover from colonial times. Like, colonialism is still happening too. Like, they're just digging up mass graves in Canada and the US from like 70 years ago. It's crazy. Like, baby graves, because they, like, white people came and colonized this continent, and even up until I think the 70s, and still through like adoption, and because people are poor and disadvantaged, and child protective services will still take people's children, and because of, you know, systemic disadvantages, people lose their kids a lot, and those kids get removed from their family and are completely displaced and stripped of their culture. Like, they would beat and harm young native kids for speaking their languages in their schools, which they did not consent to go to. So then they're having a conversation here about like affirmative, whatever it is, where they give people that aren't white certain scholarships, and this white kid is like feeling targeted because she didn't get favored in that situation, and her brown friend did, and ended up getting into the school. And like then Jose, the interviewer, starts talking about like, okay, well, let me tell you that white people are 40% more likely to get scholarships overall, and like 60% of people that go to college are white people. So considering those stats that white people are already so heavily favored by the education system, like you got to reassess if affirmative education opportunities are indeed unfair to white people. It's like giving a wheelchair to a handicapped person. It's not unfair to the person that doesn't need a wheelchair for the person that can't walk to be in a wheelchair. Like, are you guys, you know, that'd be like you guys being jealous that I have this knee scooter because you didn't get a knee scooter, but you don't need a knee scooter. You have two legs. I do not. That's like that. That's what white people getting mad about scholarships for brown folks sound like. You know, it's crazy. It's like, oh, what about my needs? It's like, what needs? What are you talking about? The fuck? Sorry you're so used to everybody fucking catering to you all the time and you're a spoiled little baby brat. I'm sorry, that's not professional. Okay, I'm gonna do a cigarette. Yeah, white people food is trash. I'm gonna look up, I'm gonna see what folks are saying in chat here. Oh, what is your ethnicity, Corn? I am primarily Ukrainian and Norwegian with a little Irish in there. And unfortunately, I think I've got some English in me too, which is something that causes me deep shame. But, you know, we don't control the conditions of our birth, do we? It's a good question. White people in chat, what is your ethnicity? I don't, like, and I'm not saying that whiteness isn't real, because the effects of the construct, the social and colonial construct, are very real. And that's what white privilege is. So I'm not saying, like, don't call me white, it's offensive, and, you know, like, that's not it. That ain't it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check in. Let's see. Andy says, I think I understand what you're saying. I'm white and was raised completely without the parts of my Romanian and Swedish ethnicity. I wish my family didn't leave that out. Yes, that's exactly right. Like, it's a disservice to our ancestors, man. Like, nobody's telling you not to be proud of your heritage. Whiteness is not a heritage. It's the absence of heritage. It is the erasure of culture. It's a fucking disease. It's a social disease. And it's a symptom of subjugation. There's nothing good about whiteness. Unless you're evil, in which case you're probably wealthy and are one of the people that are favored by the system of oppression that's been built to favor you by your ancestors, who also erased their culture to assimilate into, I don't know, maybe somebody has some big lofty words that would better describe that phenomena. Element says about the white people food: meatloaf, burgers are everywhere, and fried chicken. Literally everything potatoes. Hey, yeah, potatoes are good though. Come on. Dave says, as a traveler, I've most certainly walked into a place and been the only white person. Honestly, like, sometimes that can be, like, sometimes it can be a little sketchy, but, like, I don't usually feel that way. I usually feel, like, comforted. I enjoy not being around, like, white people. And that's not to say that, like, I enjoy being around people of, like, lighter skin tones that have done a lot of work to, like, deconstruct their privilege. And that's a little different. You know, the decolonized white is something that I'm seeing more and more of, which is good. But also, like, anyway, that's a whole fucking conversation, and you can never be completely without the effects of systemic racism. Hell yeah, Critter Bones. President Corn, VP Dave, Head of Service Spicoli. Hey, cool. All right, I'll take it. Yeah, we're all president when I get to be president this year. Vote for Cornelius is a vote for you. Rachel says, totally agree with you on this, Corn. Oh, and hi, Rachel. Nice to see you. Just went to Ireland. Beautiful place. Indeed. Yeah. You know, the Irish were, like, some of the first to be affected by British colonialism, and it's a fucked up history, and it doesn't get talked about enough in Western culture. And they're still doing it. They're still pushing them around. They're trying to take more, and they're trying. You know, I'm not Irish. I can't speak on that experience, but I mean, I am a little Irish, but I'm not, like, Irish. Like, I've never been there. Rachel says, I never even think about my whiteness, but I know a lot about my German, Swedish, and Polish heritage. Well, I get what you're saying, but I think it's really important to be aware of your whiteness and the social weight that carries, especially in the U.S., because the U.S. is, like, such a melting pot. But what I was seeing on that documentary is that, like, amazingly, even as much as cultural diversity has been introduced to a lot of places, there's a high percentage of white people that live in white-only towns still, especially in, like, rural places. That's why I like to speak to people that might be in that kind of situation more, because they do need to hear it. Because they, like, if you live in the city, you can just take a walk around the block and you're going to experience culture. But if you're in, like, almost exclusively a white rural town, like, and it's been like that since it was first settled, and, you know, you can't just take a walk around the block and experience culture. You're just walking through cornfields. So you only have so much experience to draw from. So, yeah. And a lot of those people are primed to be distrustful and scared of brown folks. So I do use my white privilege to be somewhat of an ambassador of ideas, because with that privilege that you're granted with whiteness, I believe it is also your duty to make it a problem for other white people. Like, bring it up. Talk to your family. Like, not having to talk to your family about race is a symptom of white privilege. And I just read Justin Carter's message, like, that was from many minutes ago. They said, I want a wheelchair. You can have a wheelchair too. We'll just get wheelchairs for everybody, and you can use it You know, why not? When I'm president, everybody gets a wheelchair. But people that are actually disabled get like really sick wheelchairs. And then the rest of you just get regular wheelchairs. Because they're great to have. You never know when you're going to need one. Or maybe yeah. We'll all get wheelchairs. But the disabled people will get much nicer ones. India has been colonized, yet they have the second highest population in the world. Interesting. We got folks talking about what their actual heritage is. Dave is very English. That explains the face. No, I'm just kidding. That's stereotype. English people are quite ugly. You're not ugly though, Dave. You're beautiful. I'm autistic and I can't make jokes. People don't know people don't know when I'm serious or not, so I have to just like explain it and it makes it not funny. Little German from my mom's side. Oof. Captain Mello is Greek, Italian, and very proud of it. You can trace my family name back to ancient Greece. That's awesome. Critter Bones just ordered a DNA kit. Nice. Just be careful, because those companies are selling your information. That's why I haven't gotten one yet. I don't trust those companies. Irish, Scottish. The only thing my family did was celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Oh boy. And the thing is, St. Patrick's Day is a colonizer holiday. That's a Catholic holiday. And Irish Catholicism is like, the Irish were indoctrinated. Just like they're still doing to people in other places. What's more diverse, Qatar or Ireland? I do not know. My partner is Cape Verdean and Irish. I try really hard not to piss her off. Cape Verdean. I've never heard of that. Qatar is not LGBTQ friendly though. Yeah, well, you know, a lot of places aren't, including the US, unfortunately. Especially, it's getting worse too. Carol is Welsh and German. Go figure. Hey, I like Welsh culture. It's interesting. And I don't hate German culture too. I might have a little German in me too. I'm not sure. I think that's my adoptive family though. They've got German heritage and they never talk about it. That's sus. Yeah, I identify mostly with my Ukrainian heritage because my biological family immigrated to on my biological mom's side. They immigrated to the U.S. from Ukraine during World War II, and we might be Jewish, but it's not. It was denied. I think I've told this story on stream before, but like one of the first times I went over to my biological mom's house, they were really excited to teach me about our culture, and they made me some amazing Ukrainian food and took me to the local Ukrainian deli, and it was super cool. And Grandma was talking about all sorts of stories from her mom, and but the immigrating here never really came up. And I noticed on the shelf that there was a big brass menorah up on the shelf, and I see this and I'm like, oh wait, did I know that we're Jewish? And they were like, oh, we're not Jewish. Like no thought, like just immediately, we're not Jewish. And I'm like, oh, so what's the menorah there then? And they were like, oh, that's a family heirloom. It's been in the family for generations. And that was it. And I was like, but we're not Jewish. And they're like, correct. And then there was not a word spoken about it afterwards. So I have suspicions that the family may have fled Ukraine and just completely disassociated themselves with Jewish heritage. But I do not know that. It's just speculation. Critter says, from my understanding, the Irish were the first slaves to have been sold, but that was never taught in school. That's not true. Maybe sold in America, because the Irish were taken and kept as slaves, but they had options to like buy themselves out of slavery in the U.S., whereas black people did not. And white people were brought over as indentured servants with a promise of possibly being able to work off their debt or whatever and become a free citizen. But like slavery has been a thing in humanity since forever. There's still slaves kept in parts of the world today. So it's not like, oh, we should feel bad for black people because they were slaves. Like that, like, yes, but it's not like they're special because they were slaves at one point. That's in context of American history. The only reason a lot of black folks are even here is because they were brought over by slave trade, and they're like, if you've ever seen the movie Roots, you know, like their roots, like their heritage was completely severed from their homeland and their people. So that was forced, whereas like a lot of white people kind of assimilate culturally. I'm going to say African Americans because in this context, this is a descriptive way to call them. I don't call black people African Americans because that is not correct usually, like, or just an assumption, and it's also weird to say, but like African Americans, people who were brought here from Africa, were like, they didn't have the option to stay in touch with their culture. Like, they were completely upended and taken, and that's happened to people that aren't black as well. But that's like, American culture was like actually built on the backs of black slave trade, and like systemic racism against black people continues to this day in a way that is unique from other ethnicities, and that is worth noting. That's kind of the whole thing that people need to be aware of. Jen's is Hungarian. I don't know birth mother's background. She was adopted 3 times. Wow, interesting. Fellow Slav, nice. Billy says, I'm Irish and Cherokee. That's cool. I already knew I was ugly. You're not ugly, Dave. If you were, I wouldn't make jokes about it. Dave says, you wouldn't be arrested in the USA for public displays of affection with same sex. Oh, you mean in the US? Yeah. Yeah, I'm anti-state, anti-government anyway. Like, I'm an anarchist. Until there's a better system that I believe in, I'll keep being an anarchist. Because with government power, inevitably arises fascism, and a system that is built on subjugation and oppression is inherently corrupt and always will be. That's why I'm an anarchist. Your tubing says, I'm Mexican but wasn't raised speaking Spanish. Many Mexicans think I'm white. That's a phenomenon I've noticed with some of my mixed friends. And like, the term mixed is kind kind of stupid anyway. Like if we're, it's rare in the U.S. for somebody not to be mixed race to some degree, but like people that are like, people that are not white might have a lot of the same heritage as, you know, you another white person, or I, but because they have a certain percentage of ethnic blood in them, they're not white, right? So then you get people that are like, that in like a social environment that's predominantly white, like they'll kind of be the token ethnic person, right? And they don't really fit in with white culture, even though there's literally nothing about them that would alienate them from that culture. Like they're very well socialized, maybe in good social standing, but because they might have different features that aren't associated with races that have been assimilated into whiteness, they're othered. Even on like a lesser scale, that might not be like mean, it's just, you know, othering. And then when they go and seek out experiences with people of their same cultural background, they don't feel like they fit in either, because they're not, because they have that whiteness in them. So then they kind of don't really feel like they belong in either world, and that's, whiteness alienates you from culture, and that sucks. Carol says, I was told I was Native American my whole life since my dad was adopted from an Indian school. Ooh. My grandmother called him a half-breed and did a DNA test. I'm 49% Welsh and 15% Indian. Huh. That is interesting. No native though, huh? I wonder what happened there. Dave says, speaking of white, I'm having a cheeseburger on white bread for dinner. Hell yeah, brother. Captain Mello says, have you ever looked into Plato's perfect society philosophy? It's pretty interesting. It's basic foundation for the way the church runs today. No, I have not. Dave's cheating on the all-American hot dog. Yeah, man, where's your tube steak? Nope, no native and no clue. That is interesting. Maybe, I don't know, like, yeah, people in poverty had and still do have their kids taken away, and it's hard to know, like, being adopted myself, I kind of can empathize with how it feels to be displaced from any way of knowing like who you are and where you come from. And I wondered for a really, really long time. I never met anybody that was blood related to me until I was about 21. And that like, as much as I felt like I belonged in my environment, you know, I felt like accepted and whatever. I just, you know, there's that open-endedness of not knowing, like, and then I would experience things that other people around me that didn't experience, and I would wonder, like, is that just a me thing, or is there something else going on? Like, is this like some type of you know, like generational trauma, or like, you know, like what even is my brain chemistry? I don't know, because like when you grow up with people that you're blood related to, you can kind of get a sense of like how your mind works, because it's related to other minds around you, and that gives you kind of context to work off of. But if you're contextless, then you're kind of working from nothing, so you have to work backwards. Critterbone says, I'm definitely 100% indigenous. I don't know, man. We'll wait until we see those DNA results. Bro, I can only eat so many hot dogs a week. Alright, fair enough. Gotta get some differentiation in your diet there. Justin Carter says, stripping African culture from Black America is a whole different, from slavery, more like ethnic cleansing, different trauma set. Yes, absolutely. Hell yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to make my whiteness very inconvenient for white people. That's kind of my thing right now. I'm just becoming full goblin, and like being associated as white is honestly really embarrassing. It's shameful. Yeah. There's nothing to be proud of in that. Like, dig a little deeper. And, you know, the people that are suffering from the mind virus that is white pride are really missing out. Their culture and ethnicity, their heritage has already been stripped from them. They're fighting for something that they don't even have. They're trying to protect something that is entirely constructed as a result of racism. So, like, white pride is inherently racist. Not because you think that your race is better, but because your entire identity is built on a fallacy. It's built on subjugation. Dave Lowe's saving face. The burger patty is Walmart Wagyu. Alright. Wagyu. I love stealing from Walmart. Just kidding. I don't steal from Walmart. Decolonize your local Walmart. Reclaim. Take back what's ours. Remember what they took from us. 24-hour parking. Oh man. Alright, I'm 48 minutes in. I think I've been on a roll here. I want anybody in chat, if you've got something to say about anything that I've said, go ahead and say it. And I'm going to take a moment to direct kind folks to the, I've got money links for my apps there. Don't turn your brain off when I'm saying this. If you got like $5, please get down with the kick down. If I've ever helped you with my YouTube videos and you have never kicked down, now's the time. I am broke, and that's not even like, it's not even funny anymore. I'm not even broke as a joke. I'm just broke. And I am, yeah, struggling. So it does help. And if you want to join for more discourse about other stuff, go to the Discord. It's awesome. It's great and fun. We talk about stuff. Oh man, yeah, not a day goes by that, nobody said anything in chat, but like, not a day goes by that I don't think about the war in Ukraine. And I don't watch the news about it every day because it's like, what am I going to do? I guess I could start reporting on it or something if I want to be proactive, but it's like, you know, fucking Russians are invading my people's homeland right now. And, you know, there's other ethnic cleansing happening, but it's not just brown folks. Most of what's going on in the world right now Like what's happening in Palestine is ethnic cleansing and a genocide, and what's happening in Sudan. And I wish that I could name all of the wars around the world right now, but it's not just happening to brown folks either. There's people that look somewhat like me being fucking annihilated in Ukraine right now. They're doing good though. They're fighting back, and you know, sometimes the news makes me proud. Sometimes it makes me really sad. Mostly, it just makes me really sad. Nobody in chat's got questions, comments, concerns. Get me going on a little rant for another 10 minutes. Come on now. One of these days I'm going to do a Cornelius Reacts video, and I'm going to play through a video or something and actually like talk about it as it goes, like some YouTubers do, but that's not today. I gotta be in the headspace for that. Indigenous people should have built the first wall. You know, there's a Sioux word for white people that I learned earlier today, but I'm forgetting it right now, and it means like the one who takes the best meat, and it means like, you know, selfish. That's used to describe white people, people that feel entitled to help themselves to the best part of whatever is for the community. And there's no way that many cultures could anticipate how selfish and devoid of humanity whiteness can make people. And you know, we're learning. Andrea B says, just side note, I would love for you to do a live on adoption and the negative sides that no one talks about in society. For sure. And another thing about my adoption, growing up with black siblings and being pretty well exposed to culture growing up, like, one thing that I notice in talking to other people that are adopted that are not white is, especially people around my age, there was like a big movement in white Christian culture to adopt people from different countries, like a lot of, in the Midwest especially, like, I don't know, like where I'm from, there was a lot of Asian adoptees, and a lot of them from Korea, and like, essentially I've come to understand that a lot of adoption pipelines are predatory of people in compromised positions, and it gives incentive for people to essentially sell their babies. So, like, a lot of reasons that people that aren't white that were adopted and still are because of the effects of like wealth displacement and cultural subjugation, I guess. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns? How are you feeling? Fellow white people, let's check in. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling threatened by the fact that in just a decade, only 50% of the United States will be identified as white? Does that make you feel some type of way? And a side note, I guess I wanted to, like, an important thing for folks to remember is that color blindness is not the flex that you think it is. Like, it is actually important to be aware of people's color and ethnicity, including your own. White is not a culture. White is not an ethnicity. It is the absence of culture and ethnicity. It erases our heritage, our actual heritage. White is not a heritage. It's an idealization that is rooted in racism. I personally don't give a fuck what person is, as long as you're decent. POS is a POS. Yeah. It does matter, but, like, it doesn't define you, you know, like. And once you can accept that, you can move on from it instead of feeling like, if you feel bad when people bring up topics about white privilege and culture and racism, that is a symptom of white privilege. Like, those feelings of discomfort that you get, that arise in you when those conversations come up, are just like a tiny, tiny taste of what people that aren't white feel constantly. Just that gross discomfort. And they can't, like, you know, that's something that people carry. I don't even know. Repeat Defender says, I don't even know what to say to white supremacists, so I don't get it. Well, that's because there's no talking to those people. Like, if I'm on a screen and there's a white pride guy watching me right now, first off, hi. Welcome. You're doing a really important step into expanding your mind and embracing your heritage in a real way, an authentic way. So I'm not gonna, you know. Anyway, there's only, like, if I were a brown person, I would have much less of a chance of those types of people even hearing me, because they don't see me as a person in that instance. So for me, I think it's important for white people to bring it up to other white people and talk to them. But if people aren't willing to have a conversation, then there's just no talking to them, right? So it's important, if they're, like, rallying, show up and dismantle their violent attempts and go and protect people. Show what side you're on. If you do care about fairness to other people, then you will care to protect people when you can, and use your white privilege for good, not just for selfish reasons, because you like being able to not be shot by cops or whatever. Like, Carol says, if you do an adoption live, I need an invite. Gave my oldest up for adoption so I can offer a different perspective. That's interesting. Yeah, that's definitely something that I've been meaning to do a talk about, maybe sometime this week. Repeat Defender says, I get what you're saying, I just don't understand how they can feel that way. It's insane to me, all the hate. Yeah, that's a whole thing to unpack, and I do think about that a lot. I once spent 3 hours sitting at a cafe table with a racist white homeless tweaker who wanted to talk to me because he legitimately wanted to understand, like, why racism is wrong. So that's why I spent the time talking to him. If at any point he became like combative and was just like, fuck you, then I would have been like, okay, well, conversation's over, buddy. But he actually like tried to understand. And it's not anybody's, it's white people's responsibility to do that work if that's something that you're presented with, like, but for people that are marginalized and disadvantaged, like they're already going through enough. It's the least we can do for them. But like by the end of the conversation, because I explained to him, because he said, I'm very loyal to my brothers, and if somebody is trying to threaten my brothers and my family, you can understand that will make me very upset. And I explained to him, like, okay, here's the thing, man, like, I have siblings too, and 3 out of 4 of them are brown-skinned. So I feel exactly the same way as you about my brown-skinned siblings. And like that's when it kind of went through to him, like, because he was able to put himself in that, like, imagining himself being kin with brown-skinned people. Like, then it clicked, and he was like, oh, you feel that way, and I can empathize with that way that you feel. And like by the time we were done with the conversation, like he wanted to shake my hand and said thank you, and like, said that he was actually going to go and reflect on our conversation, which was really neat. So it's like, how do you talk to racists? Well, carefully, and probably not if you're brown, unless there's like something to, like something between you to protect you, I guess. But like, or in a controlled environment, like a public discourse kind of setting. But it takes time, because there's like a lot of deeply rooted misconceptions that people are operating on, and that triggers their kind of familial sense, as it were, and their instinct to protect their own, which, is also misplaced, obviously. More white folks do need to speak up. Yep, hell yeah. Critter is not Caucasian, though. Caucasian actually is, like, in the same way that white people call indigenous Americans Indians, they also call white people Caucasians. But Caucasians are actually, I believe, a Southeast Asian culture from the Caucasus Mountains, right? And they were incorrectly at one point believed to be like the original, like, higher humans. So actually the word Caucasian does come from racism, because white Europeans wanted to imagine themselves as part of a fairy tale, like, emergent higher culture that came from the Caucasus Mountains, because the people from the Caucasus Mountains were deemed very, like, physically beautiful and their features desirable by white Europeans at the time. So now you know, Caucasian is a misnomer. There are actual Caucasians, and they're from the Caucasus Mountains, and they're Asian. Or not Asian, I'm sorry, like, I don't know, like, I mean, maybe, but like, that's as an umbrella term. I'm not a scientist. That's a good analogy. That's cool, he really listened. Good on you for speaking to him. It was rough, man. It took a long time, and I was really, really patient. But, I got all the patience in the world for people that actually want to learn and expand their minds. Even if they're coming from a place of ignorance. I've been ignorant about things before, like, we all come from somewhere. And the important thing is that we're doing the work. Hey, there's my kitty friend. Hold on. This is the coolest Coolest old cat. There he is. Where is he? Get in there. That guy's a cool ass alley cat. Bye bye. Careful, little friend. Yeah, he's cool. He's all rugged and shit. That guy's seen some shit. That's an old, muscly alley cat. Hell yeah. Alright, we made it to the top of the hour. That's very nice. Hopefully I didn't trigger anybody. And if I did, then I'm not sorry. Because that trigger response to your whiteness being attacked is social conditioning that you need to deconstruct. And that's a great place to start. All right. Well, anyway, if anybody's got any more questions, hit me up right now. This is your chance. I'm gonna climb back inside and smoke some weed until I feel like fucking off. I'm gonna get really, really high while you guys do your little typey things. Okay. Or whatever you're doing. Maybe I'll watch a little bit more of this documentary that I pulled up. Let's see. All right.
You're like, you get over that, or like that was the past, that wasn't me. But then when you're like the minority within a place where recently, like there was that much oppression, you internalize that.
The theme for today is stereotypes. You're gonna have 2 minutes to think of as many things that come to mind when you see the topic on the sheet of paper.
Wow. Whites. So what do you think about when you think whites?
They're mean to us so much.
Here's the one about whites. A lot of things that I see on here are pretty negative.
All of them are negative. How does that feel when these young students see you as these things?
You know, it's something that I have to bring in here every single day. Just encountering it today, I think about, one of my students who I said he couldn't go to the bathroom, and he says, you stole our land and you won't even let me go to the bathroom.
True.
And while I know at the core he was joking,
no, he wasn't.
The skin color I wear allows me to represent something a lot bigger than myself.
The skin color I wear.
I did not know about this word.
If I was in that class,
apparently it means what again? It means
I don't blame them for making fun of white people. That would
greedy.
Oh, here it is.
Be greedy. Take what you want. What is a washichu?
Washichu.
You stole our land and you won't.
Hell yeah.
What again? It means
he who takes the best meat.
Washichu.
To come in, be greedy, take what you want. What is a washichu?
A greedy white person.
Uh-huh.
You say it's just a synonym for a white person?
Yeah, that's the only way people use it, is just to describe white people.
I've never felt attacked by that word, but just like what it means and the fact that it exists is like.
I love watching white people squirm.
Rough.
I haven't felt like offended by it. I think the history is something that like.
Look at them with their little bowls of ice cream being sad about being white.
Yeah. She's the most awesomest teacher ever. Yes. I kind of don't like using the term.
Why not?
My dad raised me to not be really racist or anything. It wouldn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
All right. I'm going to go.
That's sweet. That person's sweeter than I
How do you
am.
say thank you in Lakota? Bye. See you.
Living out here has just really instilled within me just a very, very real sense of just how complex things are.
This is that's the Lakota reservation in North Dakota. I've been through there. It's a desolate area, man. All right, let's see. This is the official full documentary. It's available on YouTube, on MTV. It's just called White People. That's the the one that I pulled up after I had looked at a few like short clips of, you know, professors and stuff talking about the concept of whiteness, but it was like just these little like 5-minute snippets. But this is like a full-length video. It's actually pretty all right. It's maybe a little dated, but you know, it's a good start. So if you're a fellow non-melanated person and you would like to watch something a little bit educational today, then go ahead and watch that. That's what I was watching. I'll probably finish it after this. Just, you know, just to, it's like the material that they're presenting is stuff that I'm familiar with, obviously, and have opinions on, but it doesn't hurt to recap, because like there's always, unpacking your whiteness is a daily thing, because it's something that you experience daily. Fuck yeah. Okay, I don't know if anybody got down with the kickdown. I am broke and I'm hungry. Like, I'm actually literally out of food and I don't have... Satan's got food and she's got nice treats. I had to purchase some medical stuff, and y'all know how much medical stuff costs in this country when you're paying out of pocket. But I kind of had to, so... Yeah, and you know... There's other things that I would definitely address more fully on stream another time, but if anybody wants to get down with the kickdown, it really means a lot to me, and means a lot to Satan too. I'm actually really hungry. I'm not even gonna lie, and I don't know. I don't have enough to get groceries right now, unfortunately. But yeah, that's my issue. You'd think that people with as many subscribers on YouTube as I have would be able to afford basic necessities, but that's not the world we live in. But I love doing it. This is what I do. So thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate you. And yeah, we'll do some more talks. If this is your first time being on stream, hit the like button. If it's not your first time, hit the like button. And if it is your first time, also make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell icon in case you feel like getting notifications when I go live again. And for all the regulars, if you're not in the Discord server, you should really get in the Discord server, because it's cool. Alright. Satan's gonna say bye-bye. Bye-bye, Satan. Yes. Bye, friends. Alright, see you later, folks. Oh, thank you so much, Captain Mello. I appreciate that so much. And anybody else that kicked down, I'm not getting notifications right now, but I'll send you a little thank you note on whatever you kicked down on, and I'll see you next time for more adventures. Okay. All right. Catch you later. Bye.